It's time for the Boston Red Sox to fire pitching coach Andrew Bailey after the pitching staff continues to struggle.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby Maljanian, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I am here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And it's all completely free. So you might as well tune in because Locked On is your team every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Happy Monday. Welcome to the show. Another disappointing series loss for the Red Sox over the weekend, dropping 2 of 3 against the Braves. Friday night going into the game, I had all these good vibes thinking, Garrett Crochet's throwing, the Red Sox have a good chance to win. Sure enough, didn't happen, lost 4-2. Chris Sale pitched for the Braves, and he looked really good through 7 innings, giving up 5 hits and just 1 run with 8 Ks and 2 walks. Garrett Crochet ultimately took the loss over 7 innings, giving up 7 hits and 2 earned runs with 8 strikeouts and no walks. Garrett Crochet is a phenomenal pitcher, and he did, for the most part, what he needed to do. He gave up back-to-back home runs early in the game, but got out of a jam in the 7th inning to keep the Braves at 2 runs. But the bullpen just disappointed once again. Liam Hendriks gave up 2 runs in the game, so not the best outing for him. And as a result, the Red Sox took a loss. Now, they did win the second game of the series before taking a loss in game 3, but I'm going to be talking about Andrew Bailey and putting him on the hot seat today because this is all very telling of the pitching strategy. Why does the pitching continue to struggle? I'm also going to be talking about Rafael Devers, who just continues to keep on hitting, as well as Kristian Campbell taking first base reps. What does that mean for the Red Sox? What does it mean for the potential promotion of prospect Marcelo Mayer? So going to be talking about all of that. But one of my biggest takeaways from the series over the weekend, and also just from the Red Sox season in general so far, is that the pitching staff has been an absolute mess. Guys not performing to the level in which they should. Guys really struggling to get out of a slump that they may be in from a pitching perspective. For example, the Red Sox did end up winning game 2 of the series, but Lucas Giolito started. He only threw 4 innings, giving up 8 hits and 6 earned runs with 2 walks and 3 strikeouts. He gave up 3 homers, so the long ball was a problem for him. So ultimately, he gave up all 6 of the runs that the Braves scored. For once in that one, the bullpen was able to hold it down, surprisingly, but he only threw 52 strikes over 87 total pitches. So definitely not an ideal situation for him. And the thing going into the season was that we knew there would be a question with Lucas Giolito. We knew he was a guy who was going to be hit or miss because of the fact that he had been recovering from an injury and hadn't pitched a major league game in a while. So it was hard to really know what version of him we were going to get. We got a version of him in a couple of his starts so far that were dominant. Prior to this game over the weekend, he was coming off of a very dominant start the weekend prior. And then he goes and slumps again, struggling to find that command, struggling to find the strike zone. He still lives and dies a lot by the changeup and the fastball. He needs to continue to try to throw other pitches into the mix so that he has more of an arsenal that he can continue to expand on. But he has been struggling. And then you go to the finale of the series where the Red Sox lost 10-4. Brayan Bello was pitching that game, 4 1/3 innings, giving up 10 hits and 7 earned runs. Why? 5 walks. That was a huge issue for him. He struck out 3, but only threw 52 strikes over 92 pitches. So again, command was all over the place. And the thing that frustrates me the most about Brayan Bello is that he has good raw stuff. He just can't find the strike zone a lot of the time. He has good raw ability. It's just a matter of, can he get those pitches in the right spots? So he continues to struggle. And then the bullpen is just an absolute mess for the Boston Red Sox. Sean Newcomb ended up coming in relief of Bello in the Sunday game. He threw 4 2/3, giving up 6 hits and 3 earned runs with 2 walks and 4 strikeouts. He did give up a homer. What I will say with Newcomb is he is becoming a guy who could be a good longer relief option, because this is the second game of the season in which he threw the rest of the game after the starter had to come out if the starter didn't throw that deep, so that they wouldn't put a lot of wear and tear on the pen. Newcomb was that guy who has saved the day more than once for the bullpen. So this was another example of that. So that's a good weapon for the Red Sox to maybe have. His command also needs to be better. 53 strikes over 79 pitches, but definitely more effective in the strike zone than Bello was. So if you're looking at a situation in where you need a pitcher to come in and throw the rest of the game so that you're not wasting a lot of your good arms if your starter doesn't go that deep, Newcomb's certainly a guy who could be in the conversation for being a longer reliever. Now, when you look at the Red Sox pitching staff as a whole, they are not getting it done. The starters have been hit or miss when it comes to their reliability. The bullpen has been very bad and can't hold leads, and it's been an issue. And the pitching being unprepared does not fall on Alex Cora. It falls on pitching coach Andrew Bailey. Now, let's take a look at some of the Red Sox rankings when it comes to their pitching. In batting average against, the Red Sox are in 23rd place with a 258 opponent's batting average. They, as a pitching staff, have given up 428 hits. So they are 23rd out of 30 in that category. Not good. Then you look at earned run average. The Red Sox pitching staff as a whole in ERA is 20th with a 4.17 ERA and 226 runs given up. So again, towards the bottom. In strikeouts, that's another category for the Red Sox that you kind of think about and you're like, all right, this is an important category. They are actually higher up in that, though. They are 11th in strikeouts with 400 total strikeouts, 8.4 average strikeouts per 9 innings, and a 2.75 strikeout to walk ratio. So essentially that means they're striking out about 3 batters at the rate that they're walking 1, which is decent. They're in the middle in strikeouts. And walks and hits per inning pitched. So that stat, Red Sox are low, 21st. 1.35 whip total as a pitching staff with 428 hits and 151 walks. So it shows that their command as a whole pitching staff is not as good as it is for some others. But also it shows that they are just trying to generate more swings and misses. So as a result, they, as a pitching staff as a whole, sometimes overcompensate for that, and guys are hitting what they are throwing. So that's what I gathered from that. Number of starting pitcher shutouts. So this is an interesting stat because obviously it's solely based on the number of times that a pitcher gives up no runs. And that's a hard thing to measure across the whole staff because, for one, you're only measuring starting pitchers. And for two, they don't happen very often. I mean, for example, the team that's number 1 is the Padres, and they only have 2 shutouts. So don't be alarmed by that at all when I do say that the Red Sox don't have any, because that's a stat where there's not going to be a lot. But this one is interesting. In saves, the Red Sox are 20th in saves with 10 on the season. So I mean, definitely not ideal. Not ideal. And what's frustrating is that there doesn't seem to be a whole lot to fix anything. And what is exactly going on here? What exactly is going on here is that Andrew Bailey has this system for the pitchers where he wants them to utilize a lot of their off-speed stuff a lot more. If you notice, notably, a lot of these guys are not using their fastball a whole lot. So if you take that into account, now you have these guys trying to compensate because they're using their off-speed pitches and they're not always hitting their spots on the off-speed pitches. And it is resulting in a lot of frustration and a lot of struggle for these guys. And the biggest thing for me is that I haven't seen a lot of upward improvement from these pitchers in Andrew Bailey's time here. If anything, I've seen them decline. Tanner Houck and Brian Bayo are good examples of that. Garrett Whitlock, a guy who has been struggling out of the pen as of late. He's another one who was pitching really well in the pen, and now he comes back this year from an injury, and he's struggling in the bullpen. Is that a result of his injury or a result of the pitching regime not working for him? So Andrew Bailey is 100% in the hot seat here. Fire him, replace him. They need a fresh face in there because this pitching staff continuing to blow leads is not sustainable if the Red Sox want to be a playoff team. So if they're serious about being a playoff team, get somebody in there who is going to cater to the Red Sox individual strengths. The players, when they go out there, what pitches do they feel are their strongest, and how can they build an arsenal that centers around those pitches that they like to throw the most? That is what we should be looking at here. Get somebody in here who's not going to stick to this same regime every time that maybe he found success with other pitchers in other organizations that he has worked for, but not everything is going to translate every time. And I know Andrew Bailey has a lot of qualifications and he's really knowledgeable about pitching, but at some point you really have to examine what you have internally and say, okay, why is it that the majority of this pitching staff is struggling on a regular basis? And that's really not on Alex Cora. You could argue that they also need to make changes when it comes to the manager and try to evaluate how important Alex Cora is to this team and if he can be replaced. But this is about Andrew Bailey and the pitching staff. You need to go and you need to get somebody in there who can make adjustments and cater to these pitcher strengths, because too many times it's the Red Sox bullpen blowing a lead or the starter not going deep enough in the game, and that is causing a lot of the Red Sox losses. So put Andrew Bailey on the hot seat, replace him with somebody who's a fresh face who can come in with a different approach, because this is just not working. Red Sox don't have good stats for pitching right now. And if they want to be a playoff team, which I truly feel like they can be with some adjustments, it starts there. So coming up, though, I'm going to be talking about a player who should definitely not be traded and has certainly silenced a lot of the haters recently. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. Personally, I love the no shells variety. It's the perfect grab and go snack for busy days. It really is, though, because if you're running around all day, sometimes we forget to eat, but this is a quick and simple snack that you can open up, and it's healthy and it's absolutely addicting. Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. These things are so addicting. Once I started buying them at the store, I haven't gone back on it since. I keep buying them consistently every time. And if one of my friends or somebody comes over my house, I'm like, you need to try these. And they do. And I've gotten 3 friends hooked on it since. And now when they go to the grocery store, every time they get them. So definitely don't wait, because these things are 100% addicting and you will not be disappointed. What you might be disappointed in right now, though, is the Boston Red Sox, who just have not shown a lot of ability to win as of late. And a lot of that does have to do with the pitching staff. And if you replace Alex Cora right now, that's not going to change all the pitching issues miraculously. You have to look at the coaching staff around him. And at one point is enough to where the Red Sox feel backed into a corner and feel like they have no choice but to make a change. Because at this point, it really doesn't feel like they have a strong desire to do that. But they have to. They have no choice but to make some kind of change because there is something not working. And Andrew Bailey, to me, is somebody who should be on the hot seat and a guy they should be looking into replacing because of the fact that he has not done a great job of adjusting things with these pitchers. And even if he tries to make an adjustment with a pitcher, it feels like they fall back into old habits and they're not really finding success. So hopefully they make some of those changes, but hopefully those changes don't involve Rafael Devers, who just continues to keep on hitting. He was definitely the star of the series for the Red Sox, hitting his first career walk-off home run on Saturday to give the Red Sox a 7-6 win. And he hit a grand slam for the Red Sox on Sunday. And it had been a very long time since the Red Sox had hit a grand slam. So him being able to break that streak, I love that for him. I love the fact that he's the guy who the Red Sox really feel like they can rely on offensively now. And after all of this drama with the first base stuff and him basically saying he didn't want to move to first base and him getting a hard time about that from some of the fans, he's coming back and making a statement now and saying, wow, okay, I don't want to play first base and I'm going to show the Red Sox why I'm better off as a designated hitter and why I'm the guy who needs to stay in this role. And he is mashing baseballs right now. And it's been really good to see. His percentile numbers are very high in a lot of different categories, most notably walk percentage. He's in the 97th percentile, which is among the best in baseball right now. So he is walking at a higher rate than what we've seen from him in the past. His hard hit percentage in the 98th percentile. We know that Devers hits for power. Average exit velocity also in the 98th percentile. So no surprise on those. Chase percentage is in the 83rd percentile. So he's definitely not swinging at a lot of pitches outside the strike zone. And then you look at a guy like Trevor Story, who does chase a lot, and you can really compare and see the difference there. So he's been solid. I mean, his strikeout percentage is tough on the lower end of the percentile rankings in the 30th percentile. So he is still striking out at a relatively consistent basis. But if we're getting a guy who's striking out, but he's also hitting home runs the way we saw from him in this series, we're going to continue to get a guy that the Red Sox are happy to be paying, because they're not paying him to be that singles and doubles guy who steals bases a lot. That's like a Jarren Duran type or a Saddam Rafaela type. They're paying him to mash. And that is exactly what he did in the series. And the thing that makes this really notable right now is the fact that there is all this drama still surrounding first base when it comes to the Red Sox and who's going to play there moving forward. Are they going to move Devers to first base? Are they going to try to acquire a first baseman, maybe even before the trade deadline, who could play in that spot a little bit more? And maybe they haven't decided for sure yet how they want to go about that. Maybe they want to wait for Romy Gonzalez to get back, kind of see how he mixes back into the mix with Abraham Toro and or Nick Sogard and kind of go from there. But the more that Devers hits well, the harder of a decision it's going to be for the Red Sox to justify moving him to first base. Because if somebody's thriving in the role they're in, why change that and risk throwing him off? Because what could happen is now if he moves to first base, now his mind is trained to only focus on hitting, because the Red Sox basically said, hang up your glove. We don't want you to play defense anymore because we have Alex Bregman to play third base. So in his head now, he's thinking just offense. I just need to focus on my bat and bring the best bat that I can possibly bring to the game. So now when he goes out there, if the Red Sox were to say, hey, we really need you to play first base, now he not only has to adjust again to playing defense, but because his defense at third base already wasn't overly strong to begin with, now having him play defense at first, that's tough, because now you're risking him struggling even more at first defensively than he did at third base. Then he could be completely in his head, and that could be a spiral effect into his hitting. And do you really want Devers to go back into a really bad slump? Because if you really think about how poorly he started the season offensively with that crazy 0 for 23 skid, do you really want him to be put in a situation in which he has to readjust to what he's doing now, and then you don't get that level of productivity from him anymore at the plate because he's all in his head? I would say definitely not. I would prefer for that to not be the case. So it's definitely a tough situation because on one hand, you want to feel like, all right, well, Devers might be the best option at first base. That gives us the best chance to win baseball games. So you want to feel like, okay, if Devers moved, it would make the team better. But on the flip side of that, would it though? Because him crushing in the way that he did, going from hitting a walk-off home run against the Braves to then hitting a grand slam in the next game against the Braves. Obviously, he's on fire right now, and he's found his confidence as a DH. And if you want him to still be the guy that the Red Sox can rely on and be the guy who's living up to the contract that they gave him, I think things have to be this way. It would be a little bit different if he was struggling at the plate right now. Then the justification could be, well, you're not even producing really, so who are you to be able to dictate what you do and don't want to do and what position you do and don't want to play? So that's significant. But because of the fact that he has been hitting well, that really makes you feel like, okay, Devers has a right to express what he wants to do because whatever he's doing right now is working for him. So why should we risk throwing that off? In the first game against the Braves, in which the Red Sox lost, he did go 0 for 3 with a strikeout in that game. But in game 2, when he hit the walk-off home run, that was a big game for him because he went 3 for 4 in the game and drove 2 runs in. So obviously it wasn't just the home run. I mean, he was just having a good day at the plate. Then in the series finale, obviously he hit the big grand slam, but he recorded 2 hits in that game. So his batting average is now up to a 289 with a 404 on base percentage and 517 slugging, which compared to what it was early on in the season is really good. I mean, that average would be over 300 right now if he didn't struggle as badly as he did to start the season. So again, significant because you think about a guy who has just gone on this tear ever since the beginning of the season. And what does that tell me? It tells me that early on, he was having a hard time adapting to and accepting the fact that he was going to be a designated hitter. And he was in his head about it. But now he's grown to accept the fact that, okay, I'm the DH. This is where this team needs me to be. So I'm going to go out there and I'm going to thrive in that position. And I love that for him. I love that he was the guy that this is all happening to and the one that was just mashing in that series over the weekend, because too many fans have been super harsh with Devers. Yes, I get it in a way. Is he being a selfish teammate by not moving to first base? Sure. But you have to think about it from his perspective that it has to be really frustrating to be told we don't want you to play defense anymore. And then when they need somebody to play defense because their first baseman went down with an injury, it does feel almost like a slap in the face to Devers of, oh, wow, you know, they are only doing this because they really need me and they don't have another choice. So at least him making a scene about the first base thing is being backed up. Like at least he is justifying, okay, you know, I don't want to play first base, but I'm going to go out there and I'm going to ball out so that the Red Sox don't have a choice but to leave me where I am, because I should not be playing first. I should be DHing. That's where I feel the most myself, and that's where I'm playing my best baseball. So this weekend series very well could have ended any conversations of Rafael Devers moving to first base, because he just has not slowed down at the plate, and it really makes me happy for him. It made me really happy that he had a big series, because he just really needs to keep up that confidence level because he was probably at a low earlier on in the season when he went through that miraculous skid that was very bad. So I'm happy for him. Is he moving to first base? Maybe not at this point. And why is that? Because I'm going to be talking about another player next who has been taking reps at first base that we could potentially, maybe at some point, see move over there. With the NBA playoffs being in full swing, plus the Stanley Cup playoffs, plus baseball season being here, there's no better time to get in on the sports betting action than now with FanDuel, which makes it so easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. My husband actually uses FanDuel every day. It's so funny because every morning he sits down at the kitchen table and he makes placing his bets a part of his daily routine. So it's so funny for me to watch that. But hey, he wins lots of money doing it, and that could be you too, 100%. New to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. FanDuel helps you to win lots of money, and not only can you bet on a lot of different sports, but you can put a cool combination of parlays together to increase your chances of winning. So if you want to start winning big, hey, maybe you can quit your day job next week if you start winning money quickly. So don't say I didn't warn you, but once you get on it, you're going to get hooked. So join FanDuel today. Kristian Campbell has been taking reps at first base for the Boston Red Sox. Yes, you heard that correctly. Kristian Campbell has been taking reps at first base for the Red Sox. Whether the higher ups in the organization believe that Campbell will actually play first base in the near future remains to be seen, but this was a step in the right direction for the team who are looking to improve at the position after Devers didn't want to play there. It's good to slow the brakes a little bit, though, because not only is Campbell facing the pressure of performing at the highest level in a city that's really big on winning, but changing positions in general isn't easy. Being a middle infielder for most of his career, he definitely has the capability of moving over to first base, but it isn't as easy as it might sound, and it would take time. It might seem to you on the outside like changing positions isn't a big thing, but first and second base are completely different positions. And it's not something that's just going to happen overnight. When asked when Campbell could move over to first base, Alex Cora said it could take up to 10 days, 15 days, or 2 months. But we started the process and we're introducing him to first base. If he were to play first base in 2 months, that would be a very quick turnaround. As young as he is, there is a scenario where he could figure this out much quicker than expected. He is a really good athlete, but there's plenty that goes into playing first base that he likely doesn't know much about. Like, it's a completely different side of the field. So if a ground ball is hit to you on that side, your stance and your approach are different than when you're playing second. Like, you're looking at the hitter from a different angle than when you're playing second base. At least he's not moving over from third base. That would be more of a challenge because you really truly are angled the complete opposite way. But at second base, your stance and the way you're watching what's going on is different from if you're playing first base. I do feel like the transition might be a little bit easier from second to first than it is from third to first, but it still would take some time. And I don't hate the idea of the Red Sox working him out at first base and really feeling out the situation there and seeing what they have and seeing if there's a possibility that that could become his spot. So why is this significant? Now, the whole thing is that Red Sox fans have been dying for top prospects Roman Anthony and Marcelo Mayer to get called up. People have been dying to see those guys at the major league level. Now, if Kristian Campbell moves over to first base and they decide that's where he's going to play, that may open up a roster spot for Marcelo Mayer, because then what they could do is they could put Mayer there at second base where Kristian Campbell was playing, or they take Trevor Story off of shortstop, put him at second base, and then have Mayer play shortstop because that's a position that he's primarily been working on in the minor league system. They have had Mayer work one day a week at third base and one day a week at second, with shortstop still being his primary position. And that's how things have gone for him, is that he's adapting to and getting used to second base and third base a little bit more. But shortstop is still his primary role. Trevor Story, we have seen play second base, because when Xander Bogaerts was still with the Red Sox, he was playing shortstop and Trevor Story was playing second. So there's definitely the capability there of Story moving over to second. But either way, that could open up a roster spot for Mayer to come up. It doesn't necessarily address the Roman Anthony situation as much, because the Red Sox outfield is still stacked. And even though Kristian Campbell also plays in the outfield, they do primarily see him as an infielder. And they do have other options, of course, in the outfield of guys that they have really trusted and really valued in Duran, Abreu, and Rafaela. So there isn't still this clear-cut path right now for Roman Anthony to just get called up tomorrow until they decide which outfielder they want to try to move. Whereas with Mayer, if they do decide that Kristian Campbell can handle playing first base, that could be the golden opportunity for Mayer to get called up. So we'll have to see how that goes, but they are working with Campbell on learning first base. I think they're just keeping their options open right now. I don't think they've really committed to anything or said, we plan on making him a first baseman. I think they're just trying to feel out the situation and see how it goes. So hopefully it goes well. We will have to see. But I do appreciate you tuning into Locked On Red Sox and making it your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. You won't want to miss out on this. Game Night keeps you updated on all games that have gone on that day. So make sure you check that out next on YouTube or any other podcast platform. Like I always say, keep the faith, or at least try to. Go Red Sox, and I'll catch you on the flip side.